What is up, everybody? Oh, wait, I did this wrong. Let's click that button. Welcome in to Trust the Tape. I'm Jeff Cavanaugh alongside Bryan Broaddus.
Hey, Bri.
And there's a guy that said, I need to hear that hey, Bri. Get my day started off right. I've been saying it all weekend. So there you go. There's a little hey, Bri for you. We have a multitude of things in the description of today's video, Brian. I put 3 things. I put Schottenheimer's the head coach. I put how are you going to close the gap with the Philadelphia Eagles? And I put it's always draft season. So we'll also have draft content. So I'll leave it up to you. Do you have any shoddy takes you want to fire off? We'll hear from them at 11 o'clock. So not too terribly worried about it. We'll react to those things. I will at 2 o'clock. So will you. We're going head to head today, baby. 2 o'clock shows. Let's get it. You can listen to him. You can listen to him, and you could listen to us later if you want. That'd be fine.
It does. Yeah, we're all from the same area. Schottenheimer thoughts. I said it before on our program that I feel like that this was one of those where you had people in the front office that were totally okay with continuity. They wanted to make sure that the quarterback was taken care of with the way that they were going to operate, his comfort level. My experience of working with the Dallas Cowboys for 14 years, 6 of it in the scouting department, was that Jerry and Steven were always going to solicit some opinions of players, and they were always going to ask, and mainly the quarterback. We remember Troy Aikman many, many years ago with the whole David LaFleur tight end from LSU workout, and they picked LaFleur in the first round. There's Jerry likes to solicit opinions. They couldn't agree with we've talked about they couldn't get an agreement with Mike McCarthy. So now it's like, how do we try and keep things with continuity? And that's what they ended up doing. They felt like that that this gave them the best opportunity going forward to try and help their quarterback. And so that's why you make this hire. They really weren't interested in going out and we've been getting on them about the fact that they don't interview, who we would like them to interview. But to them, it was more important, the continuity to try and help their quarterback. Now, people will get really mad at this because they think I'm blaming the quarterback for this hire. It's not true.
No, you're just sharing information.
Stephen Jones really liked Brian Schottenheimer, but we've talked about this on various programs about feeling comfortable. And, there's always going to be that they want to feel that way. And it's not necessarily the right way to feel. Some of the best general managers don't feel comfortable. Jerry Jones, when he first bought the team and was running the team, he didn't feel comfortable because he was having to make $1 million payments, to pay for this team. So he wasn't comfortable. He's comfortable now. Stephen Jones is comfortable now. When you have to make decisions where your job's on the line, then you become very uncomfortable. And I think this is where they navigate these things differently. I see here Jeremy Phillips, you're right. The hiring process is flawed because the general manager is not going anywhere. When you have the potential of being fired from your job, and trust me, talk to Jason Light with Tampa. Jason was like, hell, I'm out of here, man. This thing, I can't get this thing done. Oh, Tom Brady shows up. Oh, 5-year contract extension, Super Bowl. Here we go. You look at Les Snead out with the Rams. Hey, Broaddus, is Gruden going to take this job? No, I don't think so, man. I think you guys are going another direction. Doesn't sound like John's going to take that job. Oh, man, well, God, if Gruden comes in, I'm blown out. Les Snead hangs in there, wins a Super Bowl with the Rams. F them picks, These guys did not feel comfortable. And that's the issue that you have until they feel uncomfortable. And I don't know if they ever will, because we're trying to pay for our lake house. We're working to pay for our lake house in the future.
I'm trying to pay off a pool. I got a pool fund.
Yeah, exactly. We go to work every day not being comfortable. They go to work being comfortable, and that's different. And Look what happened with Howie Roseman in Philadelphia. Chip Kelly came in and kicked him to the curb for a couple of years. Howie sat back and watched Jeff Lurie like, I told you, I told you this. Then boom, Howie's back in the mix. Howie runs his team like Jerry in the early when he first got the team. That's how Jerry Jones ran his team. He ran it on the edge and ran it, let's push, let's do, let's grab, let's go get Dion, let's go get Charles Haley, let's draft, let's trade Herschel Walker. He ran his team in the 90s, early 90s, like Howie Roseman runs his team right now, but we don't have that anymore here. And so that's why you don't have to like it, and nobody does, but that's not going to change until it changes, and I don't know when that change is going to happen.
I just thought of something that is kind of funny. Maybe it's funny. I don't know. But shout out to Michael. He said the only thing to fix a cold New Jersey Monday is Brian and Jeffy. So you're welcome, bud. Dave,
thank you. Appreciate that.
Super chat. Looking past the fans whining, starting to wonder if Schottenheimer might at least part of wolf and sheep clothing.
Yeah.
I hope he's great. I did a video after they announced it, kind of, and my 2-part thing is very simple. We can't grade how good is Schotty as a head coach yet. We hope that he's awesome. Only thing I can grade right now would be the process, and I think that's an F-. And you hope that Schotty is a good coach.
Yeah. See, I went back. I was just curious because I don't think the Dan Quinn hire in Washington was very popular. Right. I know. I went back and looked at Dan Campbell's hire with the Lions.
He got killed right after his first press conference. He got killed.
Detroit Free Press absolutely crushed him. And guys like the national media, Colin Cowherd, one of the worst hires of the coaching cycle.
He's a silly goose.
Well, but this is where. But you see, you have to give things a chance. You might hit on this. Let me tell you this though, Jeff. They have a better chance than what we had when I was with Dave Campo. And we made a ton of mistakes. A ton of mistakes. We never could find a quarterback. We just didn't do a very good job of personnel. We didn't draft. We didn't handle free agency well. We were a mess. We absolutely deserved the 5 and 11s that we got. We were a mess of an organization. Don't compare this hiring to Dave Campo 2.0. This organization is in a far better place than we were in the early 2000s, when it came to team building and things like that. So please don't compare the two, because I lived that part of it, responsible for some of it. Absolutely. I was part of that whole group. So to me, this group is better equipped to handle this coaching change and the roster building as we weren't in the early 2000s.
I do find it interesting that the thing that I just thought of is I wonder if he doesn't regret it. Jerry's been the best owner in the NFL in terms of for the Cowboys and for the NFL at large.
He's made them all billionaires. He's
right.
made them all. He's made Mike Brown a billionaire. He's made the Maras were been in it for a while, but he's made the McCaskies billionaires. He's made a lot of these guys are self-made, and there's some ladies involved. The Bensons, her husband was a car guy and stuff. So there are already people who had money, but he made these franchises billion-dollar franchises. You can't get a franchise nowadays for less than $3 billion. You just can't do it.
And I wonder if he has any regrets about
salary cap.
Yeah. And so 2 things happened
Yeah.
that Jerry had a big hand in. One is the fact that the NFL's TV dollars are so gigantic, and so players
Jerry Jones
so much money, and Jerry's a huge part of that. Jerry's
huge part of that.
Part of there being a salary cap to make sure, hey, we don't spend more than X number of dollars so that we all make X number of dollars.
Right.
But then you get to, all right, how does the cap actually work? And when people are willing to manipulate it and write big checks and play accounting games and spend more than you are, they can outcompete you to win because they're willing to. They're willing to leverage themselves and risk maybe being an awful team in 2029 to try to win Super Bowls. And if you're not willing to play that game, you're now at a competitive disadvantage in a system that you built. And I
you know what? You know what, Jeff? Let me be honest with you here. If I was a general manager of another team, I would absolutely wreck that team to try and win.
Yeah, Saints did
You know
it a
why?
couple times.
You know
Yeah,
what?
why not?
It's hey, you know what's going to happen? Probably going to get fired. Probably going to end up on TV. Probably going to get to talk about it every weekend.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
why not?
Hey, somebody else's problem, not my problem. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Russell's in the super chat. Daniel Jeremiah mocked guard Tyler Booker at 10 overall. Would you consider him at 12? Seems we don't entertain him there because of position. It is fun. I enjoy mock draft season. I enjoy when some of the big names in the draft game start dropping their mocks, because you get away from, if everybody's working off of the same rankings to start things off. I love it when other people start mixing in and you start seeing way different orders of guys being drafted.
Yeah.
So that, it just mixes things up. Booker is the Alabama left guard. He's the Alabama guard. He's the Alabama guard.
He's the Alabama guard.
I think he'll go in the first round. I think he'll go in the first round. Maybe not. I don't know.
Well, if you have 15 names, he's likely going to go in the first round. He's one of the top 32 players probably in this draft.
Probably, but it just depends how many teams want to take a tackle in college and make him a guard, and maybe Booker ends up the first guard off the board. Maybe he's the third because there's two tackles that are going to play guard. I don't know, but I do think that's the fun of it. Is I try to get away from being too dug in on that guy won't be. Unless it's absurd.
We saw that. We saw it with Lamb.
Right. We will not get Abdul Carter at number 12. But if you
unless we can convince somebody to put a gas mask on him, then we got a shot.
Yeah. I'm pretty confident you won't get Mason Graham at 12, but I'm pretty confident. There's just not. I think it's a weird draft. I think you could go a number of directions because it's just not, hey, there's these really kick-ass prospects at the most valuable positions here in the top 10 or 12. Somebody's going to be taking guys that don't necessarily fit that mold. That's either toolsy or is a good college player that doesn't have the elite traits, and it's going to be a weird top. And so there's so many different things that could happen. Ken, could the Cowboys brand have a blockbuster Kmart type of fall if they continue to whiff? I don't know how it hasn't happened. I don't know how they're still the most popular team. I don't get it.
They're worldwide. Sean Payton told me this one time. He goes, and you listen to this platform or others I've been on, I've said this before. Sean and I were having this discussion. He goes, Broaddus, they know your name in China.
Yeah.
If you coach this football team. They can't tell you who the Arizona Cardinals coach is in China, but they know who the head coach is in those places. So this is a worldwide brand. You have the fan loyalty to this program, and a lot of it has to do with the work of folks at DallasCowboys.com. Think about how much bigger their staff is. Cincinnati Bengals have 2 writers. Tampa Bay Buccaneers have 2 guys, and the Cowboys have like 8 writers, social media directors, podcasting every day, a whole day of podcasting. I mean, this brand gets pushed for better, for worse by a machine. I mean, my exposure, my people knowing about me, it's all because of DallasCowboys.com. I mean, that we were out there. Me, David Hellman, Nick Eatman, Rob Phillips. Rowan Cavanaugh. I mean, everybody had a hand in feeding the machine. And we were putting out content like crazy every day,
which really lines up with, I guess, with Jerry.
We make it likable.
It lines up very Cowboyish, where.
That's why Jerry allows it. Jerry allows us. The family allows us to fire Jason Garrett talk.
Yeah,
because they know that we're feeding the machine.
Well, I just mean from the aspect of, I remember Jerry during the season last year was bitching about how many coaches are being paid. Yeah, because that is something that doesn't pay dividends in terms of eyeballs, and that's just funny to me. Like, yeah, he will definitely have the most people with microphones. He will definitely, and he does not want to have the most on something that doesn't pay dividends directly to his exposure.
Let me tell you something here. When Jerry made it in the Hall of Fame, the announcement, he flew in the helicopter. He came in from the announcement, and they had us come on the field. They had all the employees show up on the turf field when he landed. We were 100 yards long on each side, 3 deep of employees waiting to, when he flew in. I'm sure he flew over that and goes, "Damn, I pay all those people." But that's what it all takes. That's what, that's in, yeah, if the football side was just I couldn't imagine if you were having success like, say, the Kansas City Chiefs are, what this thing would, how it would generate the things that it does. But it's hey, is what it is right now.
Brian, you can tell me if you've seen these guys, because I have not yet, because I've been lazy on safeties. I don't even know who Gunnar Maldonado is. I know Lathan Ransom at Ohio State is a fun safety. At least seeing him live, I know he hits the crap out of people. And Xavier Watts at Notre Dame, and I have not watched him yet.
Yeah, I've got those guys done. I've just what did I do? I didn't. Let me pull up my notes real quick, Jeffrey. But yeah, I've actually seen the 2 safeties. Actually watched the kid named Sebastian Castro too, from Iowa. So yeah, I'm you get to a point where you're kind of you're like, I've watched so many edges and so many defensive tackles. I mean, it's now I need to start watching linebackers and safeties and people like that, because if I don't, then we're going to be, I want to make sure. But yeah, if I could, let me get to my free safeties real quick. Okay, here we are. Yeah, with Ransom, he's one of those kids. He's 6'1", he's 210. He's got some length to him, and you see him kind of playing at all levels of the defense. I kind of think when he plays as a true free, he's a little bit better because he sees the field. He was asked to play in some coverage against tight ends in the Texas game and Notre Dame, and it wasn't a problem for him. And he was able to match up, play through them, knock balls away. The instinct for the position, the willingness to come forward as a run defender. I like him as a run defender. He does a really good job of reading the play, arriving right at the correct time. He can avoid blocks, make tackles in space. He did have a bad miss in the Texas game, which resulted in a touchdown. But other than that, he was pretty spot on. He's one of those high IQ players, and he's had to deal with some injuries throughout his career. He broke his leg in the Rose Bowl one year. He broke his thumb another year, and he has this Liz Frank injury in 2023 that caused him to miss some time. The kid can blitz. He's had sacks in his career. He's had interceptions in his career, and he's forced fumbles. So here's a guy, like I say, around the ball, can make plays, kind of more of a true free safety than I think as a strong, but he's pretty versatile to play both. I really do like, if I could talk about Watts from Notre Dame a little bit too, just since the folks asked about him. This guy's like a right place at the right time type of player. He's a converted wide receiver who's made the transition to safety. I think he's more of a strong than a free. The ball just tends to go his direction, and he ends up with it in his hands sometime. I could see him play up top. I could see him play down in the box. I like him a little bit better in the box because he has that nose for the football. Solid tackler, gets ball carriers down in space. He doesn't get fooled or pulled out of position. I would not call him the quickest or even the most fleet of foot, but he does react pretty well. And, his ability to see that, because he sees the play and then he's able to go that way. I love the competes. I love the toughness, and he makes some clutch plays. And so I see him more as a strong safety, kind of a second round guy. Our Ohio State kid I had more in the 4th with how he was playing. So that's the couple of the safeties for you there.
Also, want to shout out to the Texas safety. Was it Makuba? I enjoyed his tape. He's a really good cover guy, but TreVeyon Henderson loves him. TreVeyon Henderson got to score 2 really long touchdowns because he took a bad angle or something.
Yeah, he is. I'll say this about Makuba. He is I don't know why people don't have him higher, or we're not talking about him more. You're absolutely right about the player and a couple of the things that happened, but This guy, yeah, when you watched him at Clemson, I think maybe some of the people watched Clemson tape and they're like, oh, well, he's this. Well, he's really watched the Texas tape, because you can watch, you can watch the Texas A&M game at the end of the year. You can watch the Clemson playoff game. You can mention the Arizona State game. I think was a really, really, really good one to watch. I hadn't seen the Ohio State game yet.
He's the one responsible for the 2 Henderson big touchdowns. But he's a wonderful cover guy. Like, he moves well. He can play man. He can play deep half. Like, he's a good player. It's just I got those 2 plays and went, oh crap.
Well,
but,
you know what?
Plays happen.
Yeah, you're right. Plays happen. This kid does have some special qualities to his games. I think media scouts are behind on this guy, in my opinion. I think teams have probably got him in a level. Now, he's 6 foot, he's 186 pounds, but he tracks the ball. He can really, really run, and he's kind of a twitchy guy. So I like that. If you talk about the miss he had in the Ohio State game, he did have the game-winning interception in the Peach Bowl. So he's capable of making plays either good or bad in that way. This guy, if you look at metrics on him too, his quarterback rating was the 4th best in the country when people tried to attack him. So he was really, really good at dealing when people were coming after him. So I think the world of this kid. Like I said, I'm interested to see where he ends up in the hierarchy of. I think there's a pretty good receiver group. Safety group out of the guys we're talking about.
Screw you, whoever just got us sidetracked into safety talk. Dave White is in the super chat. No doubt the process was a joke, and Jerry gets no credit for being lucky, but Russ Wilson's best 3 years were under Schotty, and defensive players' opinion speaks to me. Yeah, if Schotty gets this thing going and an offensive line that gets cruising and they're able to run the ball and that makes life easier on Dak, like, there's ways that this could turn out to be just fine of a hire. I don't know yet, so I just give him an F- on the process, and we'll see.
Yeah, it is about comfortability and how they view that. That's important to them. And I went on a rant on 105.3 The Fan about Stephen Jones feeling comfortable.
Rants are fun, aren't they? You don't mean to, but when you
don't mean to, and then you get louder and louder and louder and louder. And what happened? And I was just saying, they are not. Bill Belichick was never going to be a coach here, because he would walk in and he would say, "We're going to do what? We're going to do what? What do you think? What?" And they don't want that. They do not want to have to deal with that. They want to be able to operate how they see fit. And folks, I know 30 years of not operating correctly. You don't have to yell at me. I hear you every day. I see you every day.
Dizzy Tone Vivo. This coaching search was ass all along. Do you guys see the Cowboys hiring Rex as DC since he's buddies with head coach Brian?
No.
I would love it. I'm here for foot content. I like feet. I'm a foot guy. Come on, Brian. Get me Rex.
No. Matt Eberflus is going to get this job. And actually, there's probably a couple of guys that we need to potentially talk about here. They've got to satisfy the Rooney Rule stuff, but
that's why when Ed Werder said that they're hiring Eberflus, I just included it in my first video, and it's like, well, Jane says they haven't yet, and I'm like, that's fine, but I don't think Ed's making it up, so they'll satisfy whatever they need to. They know who they're hiring as their DC.
Yeah, Andre Curtis, who was at the Bears, interviewed for the defensive coordinator job, right? And so he was the secondary coach with the Bears. John Hoke was the main coach, secondary coach for the Bears. Not sure if Hoke's going to come or be a part of this, but they played pretty well. Man, the people at the Bears will tell you the strongest unit they had on their team was their secondary, but they're just not sure. But keep an eye on Curtis, on Andre Curtis, and then also keep an eye too on David Overstreet, who coached the Nickels. Those are 2 names I'm hearing on the defensive side of the ball. And then offensively, I think they were talking to somebody. Gosh, I was hearing that they were talking to somebody from the Broncos that was could potentially been a candidate for OC, but I'll have to dig on that a little bit.
Okay, now just to knock this out, because I put it in the title today, Brian, how are the Cowboys going to go about catching the Philadelphia Eagles? Because my answer is you're not. The biggest, and I think there's a couple of things. One, yes, like Stephen Jones, it's just you're the wrong person to say it. And if you're going to ever say it out loud, at least explain it better than just everybody's got to pay the piper. Yes, the Eagles have a bunch of contracts with a bunch of void years at the end, but they're also staggered out. 2026, they'll take a little hit from some contracts. Also in 2027, 2029 is a really big one. They have bills that are coming due. They also have already been playing this game to begin with. They were paying almost $70 million in dead money this year and have the roster that they have. They're ready for the game that they're playing. 2029 might really hurt, or they'll find themselves very competitive at that time, and the cap will have gone up another 80 million or whatever, and they will eat 130 or 140 from three different guys. And then they will just take guys who make 140 and move that to 10 years later, and they'll keep cruising. So, like, yes, in theory, they are going to pay the piper at least some in the year 2029. But I think a bigger problem is the Cowboys got to get their shit back together drafting. Like, a big part of why Philadelphia is kicking your ass, or why Philadelphia is kicking everybody's ass, is because if you want to go up and down a roster, that's the best team in football. Pat Mahomes is a stud, and the Chiefs may very well three-peat. The Eagles team is better than the Chiefs team. The Eagles have a stud at both tackles, a stud at both guards, a stud at center, a stud at both starting receivers. Their secondary is wonderful. Their linebacker core is great. Their defensive line is great. Their running back is awesome. Their tight end is good. Like, they don't have the weakness on that team. Third wide receiver. Like, they don't have a good starting third wide receiver, and their quarterback's just okay. They're loaded, and it's not just free agency. In the last 3 years of drafts, here's what the Philadelphia Eagles have pulled out of the first 3 rounds. Jordan Davis, good. Cam Jurgens, stud center now. Nakobe Dean, stud linebacker now. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, stud. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, stud.
I think that was the biggest difference of their defense. Last year, they were one of the worst defenses in the league. You know, if you look at this way the secondary played, the way they completely fell apart.
Mitchell, Carter and Smith in year 2 now, knowing they're studs now.
And Nakobe Dean, nobody liked Nakobe Dean because he was 5'11", 7. You know what I'm saying?
Dean in his third year stud. Like, they've
developed some guys. No question. I'll tell you what, you know, having Vic Fangio as a defensive coordinator helps too. Absolutely helps.
Their O-line coach has to do with the fact that they're all awesome.
Yeah.
They can whip your ass on both lines of scrimmage. They can cover your receivers. You can't cover their receivers, and they got a stud running behind that stud line. You're behind because they try harder in free agency, trading, and they've been drafting better lately. Their GM is running circles around the Cowboys, and I don't know how you fix that other than nail draft picks, be more open to trading when you need help, and use free agency, things that we know and we say over and over. But the drafting one is new for the Cowboys.
Well,
they've been great at it lately.
Yeah, the problem that they've run into is they've also the signings of their own have hurt them in some ways.
Yeah,
too.
They've signed the wrong guys. They've waited long on the ones that are no doubters, and that hurts you on the cap. And they've made the wrong decisions on guys that they have signed early. Like, they've literally done everything wrong for about 3 years. That's hard. That's hard.
Yeah.
And so it'll start with what we're going to do for the next few months. We're going to try to nail us a draft, and instead of coming out of there with one fringe starter and one guy that starts because you got nothing else there, like, you gotta get out of there. You've got to get out of there Eagles style, where every year they're pulling 3 dudes that are going to see Pro Bowls, and that's hard to do.
They did a really nice job of being able to get 2 first-round picks too.
Yeah,
you know, the way they were able to move around and trade a little bit so they could obtain. I think they got the Saints first-round pick that 1 year and then parlayed that into something else. They kept for a couple of years.
Was that the Saints going up for that edge Davenport? Was it the Eagles that gave them that pick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they pick, I mean, they do pick premier positions early a lot, but they also pick the best player. Like, I think the Cowboys trying to force it because you don't use every avenue of team building. We knew in the first round they were looking for a left tackle. And they traded around to try to get a little better value, which is great. Helped you get Cooper Beebe. But when you know what you have to go get, you are setting yourself up to miss a pick.
Yeah.
If you can't just look up and go, who's the best guy? It's like, well, yeah, but we got to. No, you can't set yourself up to got to. And that's what you do when you don't use free agency and trades and everything at your disposal. You set up to where you got to have certain things. And when you got to have certain things, boy, you're ready to miss on a pick.
Yeah.
So, hey, guys. Hey, Brian. Hey, guys.
Yeah.
Get your stuff together and have a roster ready before the draft starts and give yourself a chance. Dizzy, I would have loved Matt Nagy or Joe Brady as head coach. Roman Wolf. Eagles, what about catching the Commanders? You got a chance.
Commanders, I think, have got like $100 million in cap space.
Yeah,
and they found their quarterback. Yep. They're gonna get that. They're gonna build that defense. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna be tough.
You're probably in third place. I mean, you need Dak's body.
This team's got a shot. This team has got actually a shot to be worse than it was this year.
Oh, for sure.
If you look at if you look at the way that there's going to be a big loss of talent when you start to talk. I don't know if they're going to be able to sign Osa. I don't know if they're going to be able to sign Golston. I don't know if they'll be able to sign Lewis. There's going to be several guys that played pretty key roles as you were banged up this year that are going to probably be gone. And so all of a sudden now you're going to have to try and replace those guys. And really the only way you can kind of do it is the way they do it is they do the bottom fishing stuff. And then they also rely on college free agents like, Spanford and stuff like that. They're willing to sign somebody off their draft board and spend $250,000 to do that, as a bonus. They're willing to do that. That's something that they've but this team has a chance to be worse than it was this past year. It really does.
Love that, Brian. Thanks for ending it positive. Today.
I just know. Think about all.
No, you're right.
No, but think about all the injuries they have potentially. There's so much unknown about with Overshown and
Overshown's not playing next year, and if he does, it'll be late. Diggs ain't starting the year playing, and when he's ready, it'll be like
Dak.
He's not ready.
Dak can't move anymore. I mean, Dak really can't run, and so this is another thing too. Why I think they signed Schottenheimer, that they knew that. By keeping the offense the same, because if you bring a coach in here that asks Dak to play with mobility, it's a tall ask right now. It's a tall ask.
And I mean, that's just a big part of winning NFL football right now is you got to be able to do it. And that might be beyond our guy.
Yep.
Whatevs. We're going to go draft him and we're going to kick ass drafting him. So we'll be back on Thursday. We'll come back on Thursday. I'll be live from Hawaii. Let me make sure I take my equipment with me.
Going to Hawaii, huh?
Going to Hawaii, and then I'm flying from Hawaii to New Orleans to be there for Super Bowl week. So I'll be out.
Are you going to Super Bowl?
You will be too, huh?
I'll be there, sir. I'll be there.
We'll go smash some gumbo. Go smash some things.
Sounds good. Yeah, there you go.
All right. Thanks for being here, everybody. Everybody say bye, Bri.
Hey, Bri.
And we're gonna go. Remember, you have no idea what anybody's going